Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we're not going to talk about gun laws. We're not going to talk about self-defense laws. We're not going to be talking about what's happening in the legislature or with the ATF or anything like that today. We are going to talk about an issue of public safety and as it relates with illegal immigration and deportation efforts. Because there is at least one state, I'll give you a hint, I'm sitting in it right now, that is so hell-bent on being a sanctuary state that they would actually be willing to sue a local government who simply just has a law enforcement agency trying to make their community safer. I'm not making it up. I'll prove it to you here in just a moment. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about the state willing to sue a sheriff for making his community safer. Okay, what we're talking about today is a very, very strange phenomena that could only happen in a handful of states. Unfortunately, mine is one of them, the state of Washington. We currently have a lawsuit. The name of the case, if you want to check it out for yourself, because we're going to link it up down below, is State of Washington versus Adams County Sheriff's Office and Adams County. This is a lawsuit that has been brought by the state of Washington against the Adams County Sheriff's Department for having the audacity to assist with deportation efforts. I'm not making it up. Now, what's the legal framework? Because I want everyone to understand the legal framework. Several years ago, we passed a law called the Keep Washington Working Act. Why it was given that acronym, I don't know. What it really was is it was an affirmation, a statutory affirmation that no state resources would be used in any way, shape, or form to assist with federal immigration law and federal deportation efforts. Now, we've talked about 8 United States Code Section 1324, and I think the statute is very clear that states do not have any obligation under the current law to assist in any federal immigration efforts or deportation exercises, okay? They clearly do not. What's happened here is Adams County Sheriff Dale Wagner, as well as the rest of his department, had been like, well, you know, that's all fine and dandy, but we are going to assist. And so what they've been doing is they have been detaining people in their correctional facility that have ICE detainer holds. Or if they are arresting individuals for criminal conduct and it later turns out that they are also in the country illegally, yes, they are reporting them to ICE. And have they assisted with the deportation efforts of several of these individuals? I have zero doubt in my mind that they had. Now, one of the most interesting things is nobody in Adams County appears to be freaking out about it. I have not heard of any protests or large community movement now in that county to stop these horrible deportation efforts that are clearly making the community safer. But is there a law in place that Attorney General Brown can argue with a straight face that the Adams County Sheriff's Department may be in violation of? Yeah, unfortunately there is. Now, in a 25-page complaint, the Attorney General states the following. Rather than do the federal government's job and absorb the uncompensated fiscal, legal, operational, and community confidence costs that would come with it, the Keep Washington Working Act ensures that Washington's limited law enforcement resources are best spent enforcing state law, solving crime, and helping ensure the state remains a place where the rights and dignity of all residents are maintained and protected in order to keep Washington working. So what the state government is arguing is that Adams County has no sovereignty, the Sheriff's Department has no sovereignty to allocate resources and manpower in whatever way they see fit to best protect their community. That's essentially what the lawsuit is saying. But when you start reading through the complaint a little bit more, you'll see that, well, this is incredibly politically charged. Okay, now this case is filed in Spokane County. Not sure why it wasn't filed in Thurston County. I understand why it wasn't filed in Adams County. But the history behind this is that the state of Washington had been on Adams County's rear for a few years about this. And apparently they were working on some kind of negotiated settlement that would bring the Adams County Sheriff's Department back into compliance. However, apparently there was a change in political wind, something that Attorney General Brown needed to point out in the memorandum. But the inauguration of President Donald Trump in January 2025 changed things. Adams County and the Sheriff's Office took a new approach. Rather than comply with KWW, they now claim it is illegal. On February 20th, 2025, in a letter to the Attorney General, the county and sheriff asserted for the first time that Adams County has obligations under federal law that directly conflict with KWW. They now argue that 8 United States Code Section 1373 specifically preempts state law and baselessly claim that KWW requires them to impede federal immigration enforcement. And that's going to be an argument that's based upon splitting hairs. What does impede mean? Clearly, the statutes are very clear that you can't do anything intentionally to hinder, obstruct, delay, thwart in any way whatsoever. Is state government just voluntarily not agreeing to cooperate with federal government? Does that constitute impeding? But as I mentioned earlier, also, there's this political undertone to this whole memorandum. Because now, apparently, what also is an issue is who Adams County has hired to represent them. Because the Attorney General, again, couldn't resist when he had to write. Adams County and the sheriff have also signaled their new resistance to KWW by aligning themselves with America First Legal, a nonprofit founded by Stephen Miller, now a top aide and Homeland Security advisor to President Trump. And a pretty good dude and a great interview on television, by the way. The Attorney General, though, continued to write, Stephen Miller's extreme views on immigrants are no secret. He has consistently denigrated immigrant families and dismissed the essential role they play supporting their communities and the local economy. He has repeated white nationalist talking points and is responsible for shaping some of the Trump administration's harshest immigration policies. According to Miller, America is for Americans and Americans only. So understand, though, what the Attorney General refers to as these harsh immigration policies merely constitutes enforcement of the immigration laws as written. Because let us not forget that there hasn't been any significant change in immigration law in forever. This is not a policy, this is a choice to enforce the law as written. So the bottom line is, Washington, we know right now that we have a state that is more than willing to cater to the illegal immigrant. In fact, far more cater to them than they will to the regular Washington resident. But at the current time, what you have in Adams County is a sheriff and a county who has decided that their resources could be allocated to effectively help the community by assisting in those immigration efforts. And while the folks in Adams County do not appear to be complaining about it, and why this clearly is done with the intent of making the community safer, the state of Washington now has filed a lawsuit against that county for having the audacity to try to enforce law and make their communities safer. Okay, the case once again is State of Washington versus Adams County Sheriff's Office and Adams County. We'll link up the complaint down below so that you can geek out on it for yourself. Don't have to take our word for it. If you got any questions about this or anything else related to what the hell's going on here in Washington, and none of it is good, you should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now, but if you don't, that's okay. That information is down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, all you do is click on that link right there and you tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to the monthly newsletter, you just go down into the description box and find all the information there. And then finally, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about here all the time, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.